sick right now, but I'm not going to stop doing what I need to do. I'm going to be doing that a lot through this whole thing. So enjoy. Welcome to the channel and for another episode of Katie Hobbs' Veto Tomfoolery. Now, today we're going to do this for one ballot, mainly because I am dying. So anyway, this is SB 1001, which is a bill that was set to amend all current legislation for early ballots identification and tabulations. Now, this was vetoed in the 1st of July and was introduced in early January of this year. And what it does is it amends, like I said before, a lot of sections of legislation that are to do with Arizona active early voting lists. What it does is it eligibility and enrollment. I'm going to slur really bad right now. Registered Arizona voters can request to join AEVL lists. So it's like redundant, AEVL. Now, mailing addresses must be within Arizona unless you're military or an overseas voter. So if you've been on deployment, if you're on deployment, but they still send you a way to vote. So the county recorder verifies the voter's signature before approval, which is a good idea, excuse me. Now, at least 90 days before March or August elections, counties need to mail you a notice with the dates, mailing info, and options to change address or opt out of that particular election. Now, return mail triggers an update of addresses or inactivates the voter. Now, for automatic ballots, voters on AEVL automatically receive mail ballots for eligible elections unless they opt out or become inactive. Now, non-party affiliated voters must request a party ballot before primary elections. Now, hopefully that includes just being independent, whether you pick one or the other or a third one. Now, removal from AEVL includes your own personal request or becoming inactive or unregistered through the actions above of your return mail or simply not being registered. So I'm assuming like your signature was not verified, and mail is undeliverable. So no weird addresses, no empty lots, none of that weird stuff that was brought up by Steven Crowder or Tim Pool or things like that, or the quartering. Or you failed to vote by mail for 2 consecutive elections. So they sent you a ballot and they never got it back for two elections or something, so then they automatically remove you. Or you drop off a ballot after 7 on the Friday before an election and without valid ID. Now, I don't see a problem with that because you would only end up dropping off the ballot personally before 7 if the mail office, if you fill it out the day of or the day before, and there's no way the post office is going to get it there. So it's good to have the valid ID. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's probably the reason that she vetoed it. Not even because it's radical, but because the Democrats are all part of a cult, since they've adopted the left, the psychotic left. And they all follow a set of doctrines that they all do in every single place that they ever control. Every single one. Whether that's make sure we mutilate children, make sure we protect weirdos from dancing and twirling around children dressed like clowns. Make sure we get rid of voter ID because clearly none of the illegals we dropped in have ID. Or, in California's case, we're just going to give ID for anybody and anyone, regardless of if they give us a name for their ID or not. But hey, here's an ID, and they all follow the same freaking strategy list. It's just disgusting and stupid. You need an ID to do a lot of things here. If you're going to buy alcohol, if you're going to buy smokes, if you're going to do anything, go into a certain club, go into a certain place, go into a casino, do anything. You practically pull an ID out, depending on who you are, at least one time a day. To think that there are people who are adults, regardless of color, race, or because to me, you're all American. If you're American, you're American. You're not. I think the only reason to ever use something American or something American or something else American or that American or blah, 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 the only time you would use that is if you had literally just immigrated here in the appropriate way and were nationalized and you came from another country. That's the only time. And even then, I would say, get away with that for like maybe a year, and then just call yourself American at that point. You know, you don't really need it. But anyways, now counties must notify inactive voters by January 15. Oh yeah, of odd years, and give them 90 days to respond. So it's not like they just chop you off. Now, handling of AVL forms. Candidates or groups distributing AEVL. Can I just say AVIL? AVIL? That's funny. ANVIL? AEVL request forms must return them to election officials within 6 business days. So, excuse me, you can't just get a form and not send it back. And I don't know how they track that, to be fair. I don't know if that's through the county recorders. If they need to collect information before you download it or receive a mail of the form. Anyway, late submissions carry penalties, or knowingly withholding forms is a felony. Interesting. Now, affidavit requirements. Each early ballot must include a signed voter affidavit. Assisting another voter requires an assistant declaration affidavit. And the return rules must be received by 7 p.m. on election day, either by mail, drop off at a designated location, or in-person delivery with an ID if you deliver after 7 p.m. The Friday before the election. Voters dropping off ballots after that Friday without ID will be removed. So if you do show up, you do drop your ballot, maybe they'll take it, but they'll be like, yeah, you took way too long and did it way too weird, and you don't have ID, but your name is on record maybe or something. It's like, yeah, you're not going to be eligible for AVL anymore. Maybe. Or you're just removed for the next one until you file another request. Handling and identification. From the Friday before Election Day onward, dropping off ballots requires ID verification and signing the roster or poll book, which is good for paper trails, consistency, records. On-site tabulation. Counties authorized under 16-579.01-.02 allow voters to feed ballots directly into tabulators if they present ID. Sounds like fun. I've never used one before, and I'm kind of excited to. Now, penalties for: they will consider it a felony if you pay for a ballot or collect ballots illegally, unless you're an outside family member, household member, a caregiver being the exceptions. Now, I wonder if the main bill has more detail of what these exceptions are, but at least there are exceptions to protect those within that area. I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory. I would imagine like ballot harvesting would have been affected by this. It seems pretty easy to tell, and that's the end of that summary. It seems pretty easy to tell why this would be vetoed. Like I said before, they all follow a similar cultish bullet point. Anybody with a D wants and does the exact same thing. Katie Hobbs, being a complete hypocrite when you go through her bio, says things like she met her husband in church. Well, if you have gone to church, then you know being perverse with the rainbow is a sin, and things like that. But then yet we have churches flying around an illegitimate flag that once wanted child abusers to be on it. I don't know if I can say the name or the word. We should be able to. The kind, I believe, when convicted and put on a list, shouldn't get off that easy. They should, as a certain prominent person says, go through the wood chipper. It's just rather disgusting. And looking at this with like no ID, like I said before, you need an ID for almost anything and everything if you're over 21 to do those over 21 things. And to say that somebody can't get an ID because it's hard is just a disingenuous person who wants nothing more to have an open way of anyone and anyone coming in and saying what you can do and what you can't, who don't belong here and who don't suffer the consequences of forcing the rest of us to go along with their BS. But that's it for now. Leave your comments down below what you think of it. What's some other reasons you believe that this was vetoed that seems to not be for radical reasons? And we'll see you on the next one.